Welcome to InCabin from the creators of AutoSens. InCabin connects the global community of automotive interior specialists working on in-cabin safety, comfort, and productivity solutions through industry-leading events and knowledge sharing. Today, we are speaking with Detlef Wilke, Vice President of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at SmartEye. And Detlef, welcome back to InCabin. Good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you, Carl. Thanks for having the opportunity today to speak.
Yeah. Detlef, can you give us an explanation of the evolution of DMS into interior sensing? Give us some insight there.
Okay, yeah, great to talk about that. So basically, DMS has really taken up speed. There's a really high rate due to legislation and NCAP, specifically in Europe, that also mirrors in the US. So it means you have a big distribution, but it is basically safety only. So by that, it means in best case, you don't, let's say, have any interaction with that. You don't visualize that. And cabin monitoring is basically in all the activities we see in the market. That means the OEMs are looking for opportunities to actually get something out to the customer by cabin monitoring, by interior sensing, to give you interaction with the HMI, to give you interaction with, let's say, comfort and entertainment packages. But from a legislative perspective, we see a strong pull, I would say, led by Euro NCAP, to get additional features out, not only the driver, but also focus on passengers, on children, on stuff you don't see in typical driver monitoring systems, like seatbelt and others.
Detlef, this is a nice segue or transition, if you will. And you may be reading my mind here with this next question, but how far along has the automotive industry come in terms of implementing interior sensing in production vehicles? And then, second to that, a follow-up to that is what developments then should we expect to see in the years ahead?
Mhm. Yeah, in terms of cars on the road, the let's say the safety part of cabin monitoring is in an extremely low percentage today, but it is practically in 100% of the quotes we see in the market. So it means there is a bunch of implementations ongoing. I think every major OEM that is in the Western Hemisphere market, I would say, has safety features sourced already for cabin monitoring. That means it takes another 2 to 3 years before cabin monitoring hits the market in really big percentage on the road, so to say, for safety purposes. For infotainment and entertainment, that happens a bit earlier. I would say strongly driven from the very playful Chinese market. There we see a big amount of adoption of features for the whole cabin. For instance, one sub feature is gesture. Another feature would be that you actually can see your child overlays of video stuff. So the fun stuff basically drives it in that market. But I would say before we all can drive cars that have cabin monitoring, interior sensing installed, so the visual and the safety part, which typically shouldn't be visual, it's going to be 26, 27 before, let's say, a lot of cars hit the road.
We're speaking today with Detlef Wilke, Vice President of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at SmartEye, longtime member of our in-cabin community and family. Detlef, when it comes to combining depth sensing technology with interior sensing, what are some of the advantages there?
Yeah, absolutely. One advantage is that it gives you a second channel and higher accuracy. So it depends on the feature, but let's take an example feature that goes into FMBSS, for example, 208, and then NCAP demands. You want to maybe have an deactivation or let's say an adaptive restraint system. So it means deactivation of an airbag. And by that, you really need to be absolutely sure what you do if you want to, for instance, have the airbag not deployed fully, but partially. And that means you need to have the information how far away, for example, someone is from the airbag. And you don't want to do that only alone with one sensor, with one optical sensor that's camera based. You want a second information channel to bring you up to a higher ASIL rating, so a safety integrity level basically. And that means at the end you can have the information from the 2D image, where we and our competitors can determine the position of your body and where are you, what's the distance, with a certain uncertainty. And if you then have a depth sensing system, that gives you a second channel independently, so to say, to then say, okay, you can verify these both results and then can take one of the, let's say, very severe safety decisions at the end. For example, just one example.
Right. And Detlef, as we have this conversation around this technology, when it comes to the regulatory and compliance landscape, whether that's NHTSA or Euro NCAP, why is this technology a key factor when it comes to compliance?
It basically is a key factor because of, let's say, system cost and the level of safety you can reach with that. So system cost is, think about, you could actually have a single sensor for all functions. You could place a radar sensor just for the driver distance. You could play a bladder, which currently is very common, to determine the weight. You could put a sensor in your seatbelt, how far away is the seatbelt pulled out to determine your position. But that means you need multitudes of sensors to give you the information. And the advantage of camera-based 2D and 3D interior sensing is from that camera systems, you get a ton of information with much less sensing technology mounted in the car. So it makes it more software defined, if you want to say so, for safety. And that means it is much more affordable. And affordability is one point to actually push a technology to the market. Because it will be very hard, for instance, if you add a few $100s into a car for the OEM, just for the purpose of getting additional safety functions out. But if you have, let's say, from one of these systems, multiple functions output, then each function actually has a affordable lower price tag and still a high performance.
Yeah, so well said, my friend. Detlef Wilke, Vice President of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at SmartEye. Detlef, thank you for being with us today, sharing your expertise and your thought leadership. I look forward to seeing you in Detroit, and then
Absolutely.
let's make sure we sit down for an interview like this again sometime sooner rather than later. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Also look forward to see you and our fellow colleagues and the OEMs and Tier 1 community then in Detroit.
For more information on SmartEye and to find out more about our upcoming events, see the links in the description or visit InCabin.com. That's InCabin.com. And for more interviews like this, subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow InCabin on LinkedIn. In Detroit, on behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.